It's definitely getting warmer, although they do say there's a chance of rain again today anyways. It is the springtime. You need the rain and sunshine for all the plants and trees to grow, huh? And with that in mind, what did I read today? How about this one, where, as you know, there's been a lot of tension between the US and China in terms of the use of drones, with the US sanctioning, for example, a lot of Chinese companies, and as well targeting companies like DJI. Well, how about this one, where apparently, I guess, China sanctioned a US drone manufacturer. This one says, WA drone makers sanctioned as China hits back after Trump tariffs. These drones have been on the news in terms of those ones that are smashing through windows and all that, more used or meant to be used for law enforcement. This one says, China placed 2 drone manufacturers with Seattle ties on its unreliable entity list, subjecting them to trade sanctions and export controls. Seattle-based Brinc Drones, which specializes in tactical and emergency response drones, was accused of military technology cooperation with Taiwan, which it considers its territory. China accused Boeing-owned Insitu, which produces military-grade quadcopter and airplane-shaped drones, of the same thing. It's kind of interesting they specifically mentioned Taiwan, because if you remember, that's what kind of happened to Skydio, where they provided people in Taiwan their drones to be used for example, emergency purposes, and because of that, they issued all these restrictions and so forth. It says state-run media reported Friday that the 2 firms, along with 9 others, were prohibited from import and export activities with China. They're also restricted from new investments in China. Brinc and Insitu did not respond to requests for comment. Is this because of the tariffs? It says the moves by China were part of a larger retaliation against President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs announced on Wednesday. Trump set a baseline 10% tariff rate on all imported goods and added 34% to the 20% rate he already placed on China. On Friday, China said it would impose a 34% tariff on all US imports starting next Thursday. Trump responded to China's announced Friday on Truth Social, saying, quote, China played it wrong. They panicked. The one thing they cannot afford to do. China's retaliation added more fuel to the meltdown in the stock market that started with Trump's tariff announcement. The pullbacks have wiped out a record $6.6 trillion in stock market value over the past 2 days, according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, this probably wouldn't get as much attention as I mentioned the other day for things like video games, that is more mainstream nowadays anyways. But either way, I guess everyone's trying to say the tariffs are affecting this and that, huh? And how about this one, where apparently somebody flew a drone where they shouldn't? It says, drone flown into Comerica Park during Detroit Tigers home opener, 1 in custody. A person was taken into custody after a drone was flown into Comerica Park during the Detroit Tigers home opener on Friday. Detroit police said the drone was flown into the stadium around 1:43 p.m. as the game against the Chicago White Sox was happening. The drone came from the top floor of the parking structure near Brush Street and Adams Avenue, police said. Officers identified and took the drone operator into custody quickly, according to the police. The FBI and Michigan State Police are investigating the incident. The way they write this to make it sound like it's almost like an FPV drone flyer literally flying into the stadium as if they're, let's just say, part of the show. I've seen more entertainment venues doing that, actually, having those fly-through types of introductions or actually just getting different perspectives. But either way, you shouldn't be flying it inside the actual sporting event like that anyways. And I thought of going to places where you shouldn't, this was kind of fascinating. I've often read about that story where there's a group of people, the Sentinelese, people that live in an island. They've never had contact with, let's just say, modern day society for the most part. They don't know like what the heck, let's just say, an airplane is overall. But apparently somebody decided to actually go there, and because of that, I suppose now he's been arrested. It says here, with coconut and coke, American tried to befriend Sentinelese in Andaman and Nicobar Island. The U.S. national arrested for entering the prohibited areas in Andaman and Nicobar Island has been remanded in 3 days police custody for investigation. The police have seized a GoPro camera from the suspect, and its video footage has confirmed his visit to the restricted North Sentinel Island. The suspect has been identified as Mykhailo Viktorovych Polyakov, 24. The purpose of his unauthorized movement is not clear. During interrogation, he is learned to have told police he was a thrill seeker and had visited Afghanistan to meet Taliban members in the past. So trying to get some footage, I guess, not really a good idea to go to that place anyways. It says police have obtained details of his many visits to the island. On his first visit, Polyakov arrived in India on October 18, 2024 and attempted reconnaissance for North Sentinel Island using an inflatable kayak but was stopped by hotel staff. During his second visit on January 18th, Polyakov attempted to procure an outboard motor for his boat. He visited Brinc Islands, illegally videographed the Sentinelese Tribe and explored various locations in Port Blair before leaving on January 27th. And so it keeps going and going, where obviously this guy is trying to, again, capture some footage and so forth to, I don't know, maybe he wants to stand out like to the rest of the world. The general explanation of why people are not allowed to go there is because, for example, the people on the island has never come in contact with a lot of different viruses and diseases, so they've never had the chance to develop any type of immunity. So imagine this person walking in, he could essentially, as they say, wipe everyone out because of the fact, again, they have no immunity. So in that case, they want to keep them far away from regular people as much as possible. But can you believe that, where there's actually still, for example, people in existence that are just cut away from society, never seen, for example, electronics and all that, still living, I guess you could say, the traditional way, hunting and living off the island and all that. Holy smokes, a lot of people out here today. Alright, see you guys later.